Okay, good afternoon everyone. May sounds ba ako? Ako wala akong sounds. Okay, meron. So, our topic today is about network media and network devices. So, please read what is network media, Darlene.
Network media is the actual path over which an electric signal travels as it moves from one component to another.
So, yung network media, ito yung parang daanan, okay, ng mula doon sa isang device papunta doon sa isang device. So, ano ba yung mga example ng network media natin? Number one is the UTP cable, two is coaxial, and three fiber optic, and the last one is the wireless. So, unshielded, twisted pair, and pair or UTP cable. Please read Da Vinci.
UTP cable is the most common kind of copper telephone wiring. It consists of two insulated copper wires arranged in a regular spiral pattern to minimize the electromagnetic interference between adjacent pairs. Low frequency transmission medium, limited distance, usually less than 100 meters.
Okay, so yung UTP cable, ito yung mga nakikita ninyo sa computer lab na mga wires mula sa computers papunta sa router or computer mula papunta sa switch. So, ang ano niya daw is twisted pair. Bakit siya twisted? Para daw ma-minimize yung electromagnetic interference. So, makikita niyo yan sa YouTube kung ano yung itsura ng electromagnetic interference. Okay? So, may low frequency transmission medium. Okay, so may iba't ibang klase ng UTP cable. So, depende do sa cable na yun kung gaano kabilis siya mag-transfer ng files. So, meron tayong Cat5, Cat5e, and Cat6. Ewan ko kung may Cat7 na. So, meron siyang limited distance lang. So, hanggang 100 meters lang yung maximum na pwede siyang gamitin. More than that is medyo mabagal na yung pagta-transfer ng data mula sa isang device papunta dun sa isang device. So, i-discuss natin kasi ewan ko kung makakagawa kayo ng UTP cable, pero sana makagawa kayo or makahawak man lang kayo ng UTP cable. Okay, so i-discuss natin to. Ano ba yung mga Cat5, Cat6, okay, different types. Ano dyan sa mga wires na yan, ang grounded, okay, ano dyan sa mga wires na to, color wires na to, yung kailangan na nakasetup dun sa RJ45. Okay. So the next one naman is the coaxial cable. Ivan.
Coaxial cable, like the wire used to connect a TV or VCR, has an inner conductor surrounded by a braided mesh. Most conductors share a common center axial, hence the term coaxial. Bandwidth of up to 400 MHz, used for long distance, 300 to 600 meters.
Okay. So dati, pero hanggang ngayon naman is gumagamit yung mga cable, yung mga cable internet, gumagamit sila ng coaxial cable for internet connection. So anong bandwidth niya is up to 400 megahertz. So used for long distance, 300 to 600 meters. Siguro naman nakakita na kayo ng coaxial cable. Ito yung mga lumang antena, lumang wires sa mga lumang antena. So, syempre, pag hinawakan mo to, mag-grounded ka itong pinaka-copper niya. Okay? So, nababalot siya ng copper. Ayan. Ito yung parts niya. Meron siyang out plastic sheet. Itong letter A. Woven copper shield. Ayan. Inner dielectric insulator. and copper core. So, pag nahawakan niyo yung copper core is minsan mag-ground ka dyan. So, ulitin ko ano yung mga gumagamit nito, yung mga cable internet. Next naman is the fiber optic. Please read, Garma.
Fiber optic. Communication is a method of transmitting information from one place to another by sending pulses of light through an optical fiber. The light forms an electromagnetic carrier wave that is modulated to carry information.
Okay. So, ito yung pinaka-advanced na advance ng internet connection natin, yung fiber optic. Kung siguro naka-internet fiber kayo, may makikita kayong wire mula sa labas ng bahay ninyo, then papasok, then meron doon maliit na box. Doon nakakonect yung mula sa labas na fiber optic, then meron na namang maliit na RJ45 or hindi, telephone cable na papunta naman sa router. Okay? So, data is transmitted using light, kaya siya ang pinakamabilis na internet connection ngayon, yung fiber optic. It consists of center glass core surrounded by several layers of protective materials. So, greater capacity used for distance up to 100 kilometers. So, ang disadvantage niya is it's very expensive. Advantage, small size and lighter weight. And also, ang disadvantage niya is hindi siya pwedeng i-roll kasi mababasag yung glass ng fiber optic. And yung mga may specialization talaga ng setup ng fiber optic ang makakagawa nito. Okay, hindi mga ordinary or student. Kasi UTP cable, kaya nyo gumawa ng UTP cable, yung wire lang, and also yung mga RJ45. Pero yung fiber optic is hindi yung mga may specialization lang talaga. And the last in network media is the wireless. Please read, Jacob.
Wireless use high-frequency radio signals or infrared light beams to communicate between the workstation and the server. Need transceiver or antenna to send and receive data. Expensive, poor security, slower than LANs using cabling, susceptible to electrical interference from lights and radios.
Okay, bakit kaya sinabi niya na ang wireless daw, ito alam niyo naman siguro kung ano yung wireless, di ba? Yung wireless is makakakonect ka sa internet ng walang wired. Okay, kaya siya wireless through signals lang or radio signals. So, bakit sinabi? It is slower than LAN. Bakit mas maganda pa rin gumamit tayo ng LAN cable kaysa gumamit tayo ng Wi-Fi? Anyone? Pwede mag-raise ng hand? Bakit mas mabilis ang LAN cable pa rin kaysa ang wireless internet? Yes, Magos.
Kasi po mga ang wireless po is pwede po ma-interrupt yung connection eh. Samantalang sa LAN naman po is tuloy-tuloy lang po. Wala pong interface sa mga gaganap.
Ano yung example ng interruption?
Yung bigla po magdi-disconnect sa wireless po. Kunyari po, yung sa router po natin, may makita po tayong WALAN doon. Tapos pag nagbi-blink po yun, mawawalan po tayo ng panandaliang network para mag-disconnect po.
Okay. So, yun yung mga hindrances pag sa wireless. And also, pwedeng magkaroon ng sa wireless, yung mga pader, dead zone, wala talaga nasasagap na internet connection. So, yun yung disadvantage. Kaya, kung kayo ng syempre, mas maganda pa rin yung LAN cable. Pero, kung for convenient purpose naman, syempre, gagamit kayo ng wireless. Okay? Next naman is network hardware. Network hardware may also be known as network equipment or computer networking devices. So, ito yung mga nakakatulong para mag-create ng network. Units which are last receiver or generate data are called host or data terminal equipment. All these terms refers to the devices facilitating the use of computer, especially they mediate data in the computer network. So, pwede sila yung host, yung mga devices na yon, or pwede rin sila yung nagme-mediate do sa network. Okay, the first one is network operating system. Guzman, natawag na kita?
Dito po.
Okay, please read.
A network operating system is a supervisory software program that resides on the server. It can control how the network operates by defining who can use the network and how information and data are shared among users.
Okay. So, meron tayong tinatawag na network operating system. So, ito yung mga ginagamit sa mga servers. Pero kung ito, di ba may dalawa tayong type ng network, pwedeng peer-to-peer, pwedeng client and server. Yung peer-to-peer, hindi nyo na kailangan ng network operating system. Pero kung server client is kailangan ninyo ng network operating system. So, ito yung mga example ng network operating system. This one is the Windows Server R2. Ito yung ginagamit pag magpapa-assessment ka sa CSS. Ito yung software na install mo doon isang computer para siya yung maging server. Then, yung isa naman na installan na client, sa client naman is Windows 7. So, ano yung pwedeng gawin dito sa Windows Server? So, sa Windows Server is pwede kang mag-set ng mga IP address do sa client. Yung mga IP address ng mga client na yon. Pwede ka rin mag-set ng pwede mong kontrolin using the server. Pwede mong kontrolin yung client. Pwede kang mag-install ng mga software dun sa client directly or yung mga list na client. Pwede kang mag-set kung ilang gig lang ang pwede sa kanila. Ilan lang yung part nila doon sa hard disk. So, marami kang kayang gawin. Pwede mo rin siyang i-shutdown. Okay, lahat ng clients, sabay-sabay, masya-shutdown. So, ito yung Windows Server R2. And this one naman is Windows Server 2019. Ito yung naman yung latest na nakita ko sa internet na Windows Server. Next naman, syempre, kailangan nyo ng file server. Magos, please read.
A file server is a high-capacity computer that provides various resources to the network, the heart of the network, with a large amount of RAM and storage space, a fast network interface card, and a tape backup device.
Okay. So, dito sa file server, syempre dapat daw is malaki siya na mataas yung specification niya kasi nga siya yung pinaka-heart ng network. Dito kasi, siya kasi magpapagamit ng hardware para dun sa mga clients. Okay? So, RAM, kailangan para mabilis mabuksan yung mga application sabay-sabay ng mga clients. Storage space. Kasi syempre, dyan lang magsisave ng mga documents or files. Then, fast internet network interface dahil for internet purposes. So, sa ICT room is meron doon mga servers. Ang problema ko lang sa kanya is mababa yung ano niya, video card. So, yun yung anong problema 'pag yung mababa yung video card? Ang nangyayari 'pag nagfo-Photoshop kami using Photoshop, yung mouse nila hindi nila makontrol ng maayos. Kasi nga yung video card shinare mo sa 4 na monitor or sa 4 na user. Eh, alam niyo naman ng Photoshop is medyo mabigat na, software. So, yun yung naging problem. And also yata ang RAM nun, ang taas naman yung RAM, 4 gig. So, okey naman yun. Pero feeling ko yung video card kasi yung itsura nung, tawag dito, itsura ng Photoshop is iba dun sa monitor ng server, iba dun sa client. Okay? So, next naman is the workstation. These are the clients na nakakonekta sa server. So, not necessarily need disk drives and hard disk can be saved on the file server. Tinatawag din siyang teen computer dahil nga is ito lang yung itsura niya. May monitor siya, may keyboard and mouse. Then, after nun is wala siyang system unit kasi nga ang pinaka-system unit na nila is the server. Okay. So, paano naging server client yung nandun sa ICT room? Dahil gumagamit sila ng N-computing. Please read what is N-computing, Mark.
And Computing is a desktop virtualization company that manufactures hardware and software to create virtual desktop, sometimes called zero clients or teen clients, which enable multiple users to simultaneously share a single operating system instance.
Okay. So, pakita ko lang sa inyo. Ay, si Clavano pala. Gusto ko mag-enter. Okay. Ito yung itsura ng
Today's computers are incredibly powerful. So powerful, in fact, that just one PC or server has enough power to keep 10, 20, or even more users productive and happy at the same time. N-computing drastically reduces the cost of computing by allowing many people to simultaneously share a single computer. It's perfect for schools, governments, and businesses of any size. Tens of millions of people use N-computing virtual desktops every day, and you can set up your N-computing virtual desktops in just minutes. It all starts with N-computing's remarkable vSpace software. vSpace creates multiple virtual desktops on a single PC or server. Each unique desktop is sent to a small N-computing device. The device connects to each user's own keyboard, monitor, and mouse. And each user can have their own private programs and data all running at the same time. And with N-computing, everybody gets a rich, full PC experience. In fact, everyone will feel as if they're working on their very own PC. By sharing resources, you can drastically reduce your costs. You can expect to save up to 75% on hardware, 75% on maintenance, and 90% on electricity. And computing frees you from the crippling cost of obsolescence. Now, when it comes time to replace your PCs, you only have to replace one PC for every 10, 20, or 30 users. That also reduces your e-waste by up to 95%. The overwhelming global acceptance of N-computing has allowed tens of millions of people to use this technology daily in over 140 countries around the world. N-computing has been installed on metal racks in world-class data centers and metal shacks in emerging markets. We offer the greenest computer on earth while complementing and improving enterprise architectures. Never before has a single technology connected so many people at such a low cost. With low cost, great performance, and no special training needed to set it up, it's little wonder that people love the N-computing solution. Our award-winning virtual...
So, ito yung tsura ng N-computing. Ayan. So, pakita ko paano siya. So, yung N-computing, for example, Sana may board tayo. So, ito yung pinaka-server. Okay, itsura ng server natin. Then, meron siyang monitor. Okay. Then, meron tayong clients. Okay. Ito yung mga clients natin. Gawin lang natin kulay. Ayan. So, ito yung clients natin. So, mapapansin ninyo, ito yung end computing niya. So, paano gumagana yung end computing doon sa ICT room? So, yung client na to, so, lagyan natin to. Ito yung 1. Ito yung user 1. User 2. User 3. Then, ito, server. Detected server. Ayan. So, meron siyang user 2, user 1, user 3. Okay? So, isang package ng end computing is tatlo siya. Yung isa, malaki siya na end computing. Ewan ko ang tawag dyan. Then, dalawang maliit. So, dito, sa user, lahat yan walang system unit. So, ito, ang nakakonekta kay user 3 is the mouse keyboard. Makikita niyo yan. Meron yan dito sa ilalim. Ayan. Then, yung monitor naman, dito. So, para magka-power siya, meron ding power cord yan dito sa ilalim. Okay, same lang sila dito. Monitor, mouse, nasa ilalim siya. Monitor, mouse, and keyboard. Monitor, mouse, and keyboard, and power supply. Then, may nakakonekta dito na, tawag dito. Ang power supply nitong dalawa is USB type na nakakonekta dito. Yan, color blue. Then, yung color, tama. Yung isa naman na wire is the UTP cable for internet connection. Then, ito naman, so paano sila magkakaroon ng connection mula kay DepEd server papunta kay user 1? Meron tayong tinatawag na switch. Ayan. Si switch, meron tayong switch doon sa ICT room. Sabihin natin ng kulay. Ayan. So, yung user 1 natin is may UTP cable yan. Ayan. Na nakakonekta kay switch. Then, si server din, may UTP cable na nakakonekta kay switch. So, every time na magbubukas si DepEd server at si user 1, may magpa-flash din sa monitor kung anong server ang gustong connectan. For example, marami kang server na nakalagay dito sa switch. Mamimili siya. Okay? So, for example, wala naman. So, mapipiliin niya lang DepEd server 1. So, lahat ng ito na nakakonekta kay user 1, itong malaking na to, is makakakonekta na kay DepEd server. So, ganun yung logic ng end computing. Kaya siya sinasabi na mas nakakamura tayo sa hardware. Kasi ang kailangan mo lang is the end computing. Pero be sure na mataas yung specification ng server ninyo. Kasi pag hindi mataas yung specification niyan, maglalag lang itong user 2, user 1, and user 3. So, yun yung advantage saka disadvantage niya. So, next naman is the network interface card. Mark, please read.
NIC provides the links between your computer network. Provide the physical connection between the network and the workstation. Most are internal with the card fitting into an expansion slot inside the computer. Three common network interface connections: Ethernet cards, local TOX connectors, token ring cards.
Okay, so last second reading is diniscuss na natin itong network interface card. Siyempre, kailangan ng network interface card sa mga desktop and also sa mga laptop para magkaroon sila ng connection dun sa network. So, may mga luma at iba't ibang klase ng network card. Ito yung mga itsura niya. Ayan. Pero ito yung pinaka-latest, yung gantong network card. So, makikita nyo yan na meron tayong slot for network internet connection. Then, ayan, may nagbi-blink yan pag gumagana yung internet or gumagana yung network ninyo. Next naman is the repeaters. Please read preamble.
Repeaters. A repeaters is a device that regenerates and amplifies signal to create long-distance networks. Simplifies, receive, amplify, and rebroadcast the signals. Some repeaters provide basic error checking. Can be separate device or they can be incorporated into a concentrators. Inexpensive use to overcome distance limitations.
Okay, so repeaters is from the word repeaters, is nire-repeat niya yung signal mula sa router. Okay? So yan, kung may signal 1 ka dyan, i-repeat niya lang yan doon kung saan nakasaksak yung repeater natin. Then, i-repeat niya lang doon sa area na yun. So, medyo luma na yung repeaters. Pero ewan ko kung magkano na yung repeaters eh. Alam ko luma na siyang technology. Ngayon naman, meron tayong bagong technology at ino-offer ng mga internet company sa atin yung mesh Wi-Fi router. Mesh Wi-Fi is a whole home Wi-Fi system built to eliminate dead zone and provide uninterrupted Wi-Fi throughout your home. Mesh routers enables devices in your network to have faster speeds, greater coverage, and more reliable connection. May kiniklaim din ito na hindi lang nire-repeat niya yung signal mula sa router. Pinapalakas niya pa daw yung internet connection. So, usually, 3 ang package ng mesh Wi-Fi. Ulitin ko lang. Yung isa is nakakonect kay router. Then, yung dalawa is pwede nyo ilagay doon sa pinaka-dead zone. Ang disadvantage lang nito is medyo pricey ang mesh Wi-Fi. Kung bibili kayo, kaysa mag-avail kayo ng internet connection na may package na mesh Wi-Fi. Kasi ang alam ko sa, tawag dito, sa mall is nasa 15,000 to. Ewan ko lang kung sa Lazada kung magkano yung mesh Wi-Fi router. Okay? So, maganda siyang, kung kailangan ninyo ng internet, is maganda tong mesh Wi-Fi. Pero kung hindi naman hindi malakas naman yung internet ninyo, at wala naman nambablock or wala naman dead zone doon sa bahay ninyo, is okay lang kahit yung router. Pwede na yun. So, let's differentiate the hub, the bridges, the hub, switches, and the routers through this video.
So we're going to talk about the difference between a hub, a switch, and a router. Now, all three of these devices are similar, but there is a difference in the way they handle data. So we'll first talk about a hub. Now, the purpose of a hub is to connect all of your network devices together on an internal network. It's a device that has multiple ports that accepts Ethernet connections from network devices. Now, a hub is considered not to be intelligent because it does not filter any data or has any intelligence as to where the data is supposed to be sent. And that's because the only thing a hub knows is when a device is connected to one of its ports. So when a data packet arrives at one of the ports, it is copied to all of the other ports. So all the devices on that hub sees that data packet. So again, a data packet comes into one port, then the hub will just rebroadcast that data to every port that has a device connected to it. So even if this computer here only wanted to communicate with this computer over here, these other computers would still receive the data even though the data was not intended for them. So when this happens, it not only creates security concerns, but it also creates unnecessary traffic on the network, which wastes bandwidth. Now, a switch is very similar to a hub. It's also a device that has multiple ports that accepts Ethernet connections from network devices. But unlike a hub, a switch is intelligent. A switch can actually learn the physical addresses of the devices that are connected to it, and it stores these physical addresses, called MAC addresses, in its table. So when a data packet is sent to a switch, it's only directed to the intended destination port, unlike a hub, where a hub would just rebroadcast the data to every port. So as an example, if this computer here wanted to communicate with this computer over here, the data packet arrives at the switch, and then the switch will look at its table of MAC addresses and matching ports and deliver the data to the correct port. And then the data packet would only go to that computer. So that's the major difference between a hub and a switch. So as a result, switches are far more preferred over hubs because they reduce any unnecessary traffic on the network.
Okay. Ay, sige.
So as a review, a hub only detects that a device is physically connected to it, and a switch can detect specific devices that are connected to it because it keeps a record of the MAC addresses of those devices.
Okay. Si Bayan, please explain ano yung difference ng hub tsaka ng switch. Difference tsaka similarities din.
Yung sa hub po, nadedetect niya through physical kasi nakakonect talaga siya dun sa mismong sa hub. Tapos yung sa switch po, hindi ko alam. Hindi ko po ma-explain.
Sige. Anyone, raise na lang ng hand. Tulungan natin si Sibayan. Sige, Jacob.
Ma'am, dun po sa hub, ano po, dinedetect niya lang po yung ano yung mga pumapasok, nakakonekta sa kanya po. Para po, kapag mag-send po ng data, kunyari po, mag-send po ng data sa isang user, lahat po mabibigyan po. Dun naman po sa switch, nakakonect, ma-detect niya rin po yung mga specific data base po sa mga MAC record, yun nga po, sa MAC address po nila. So kapag mag-send po ng files or data, diretso po dun sa user na pinagsesendan po. Di na po siya magbibigay sa lahat. Dun lang po sa specific na pinagbibigyan lang po ng file po. Ganun po.
Okay, very good. So, yung hub is not intelligent daw kaysa sa switch. Okay? Bakit? Kasi si switch is kaya niyang mag-store ng MAC address ng mga devices na nakakonect sa kanya. Ano ba yung MAC address? Hindi yan yung MAC na nandito. Wait lang. Ang MAC address meaning, sorry. para matandaan din natin pare-parehas. Media Access Control Address. Okay? So, yun yung ibig sabihin ng MAC, Media Access Control. So, lahat kasi ng mga devices natin, lahat ng mula cellphone, laptop, printer, ay merong MAC address. Okay? So, kaya nagiging specific kung sino yung sesendan ng file ng switch. Unlike sa hub, is sesendan niya lahat ng devices na nakakonect sa kanya. And, so, ang disadvantage niya is security. Bakit? Kasi sesendan mo lahat ng files yung lahat ng users eh. So, walang privacy na nangyayari. Another is bandwidth. Dahil nga nag-send ka, so yung network, nababawasan yung bandwidth ng network. Unlike sa switch is nagiging specific siya, so walang security, nagiging secured yung mga files. Syempre, is wala ring nasasayang na bandwidth. Ang alam ko lang, mas mura syempre ang hub kaysa sa switch. Pero mura-mura na rin to kasi may mga switch na maliliit lang na hanggang 8 ports ang pwede nyo, 8 slots ang pwede nyo malagay. So, 8 devices. So, let's continue.
To exchange data within a local area network, for example, such as in your home network or in a business. They are not used to exchange data outside their own network, such as out on the internet, because to exchange or route data outside their own network to another network, such as out on the internet, a device needs to be able to read IP addresses. And hubs and switches do not read IP addresses. So that's where the router comes in. Now, a router does exactly what its name implies. A router is a device that routes or forwards data from one network to another based on their IP address. When a data packet is received from the router inspects the data's IP address and determines if the packet was meant for its own network or if it's meant for another network. If the router determines that the data packet is meant for its own network, it receives it. But if it's not meant for its own network, it sends it off to another network. So a router is essentially the gateway of a network. So here we have a private network with its router, and we'll refer to this as the red network, indicated by the red colored screens on the computers. And over here, you're going to have different data packets, indicated by their different colors, which represents different IP addresses, and they are going to be entering the red network's router from the internet. Now the router is only going to accept the red data packets because they are the only ones that are intended for this network. So all of the other data packets, the yellows, blues, greens, etc., will be rejected by this router because they were not intended for this network because their IP addresses were not meant for this network. Now here is an expanded view of routers over the internet. There are 4 networks here, indicated by their different colors, and each network has their own router, along with their hubs or switches and their computers. So right now, as you can see, each network is just exchanging information within their own network. Their data is not going out on the internet, so they are not communicating with other networks. They are just exchanging data within their own network using their hub or switch. Now let's go ahead and exchange data between different networks. So let's say, for example, that this computer here on the red network wants to communicate with a computer here on the blue network. So for this to happen, the data packet has to leave their own network and go out on the internet. So the computer sends their data and it goes to the network's router. And once the data packet reaches the router will look at the IP address of the data packet and then forward the data out on the internet to the next router, and then make its way to the blue network's router, and then to the intended destination computer. So in a nutshell, this is how routers work. So in conclusion, hubs and switches are used to create networks, while routers are used to connect networks.
Lavano, please explain. Lavano, kaya mo explain ano ang function ng router? Nandiyan ka ba?
Opo, ma'am, dito po. Kaso medyo naguluhan po ako.
Sige. Sige, anyone from the class? Sinong kaya? Raise na lang ng hand. Yes, Darlene.
Ma'am, sa pagkakaintindi ko po, yung router daw po, unlike switches na ina-identify niya yung MAC address, yung router po ina-identify nila yung IP address para malaman po kung para saan po destined yung file. And then po, ina-identify niya rin po base sa MAC address kung destined po ba sa own network ng router yung data packet or sa other po. And then pag destined po sa kanya, i-receive po niya. And then pag sa other network po, sinasend po nila sa internet para makadaan din po sa iba't ibang routers para makadating po sa destined na destined na network.
Okay, very good. Ang router, ano ba pagkakaiba ng switch saka ng router? Si switch, more on ano siya, hardware. Hardware or devices within do sa network niya. Okay? So kung ito yung mga MAC address nung network niya, yun yung binabasa niya. Unlike a router, is nakakonekta siya dun sa internet connection. Kaya siya merong internet protocol or IP address. Okay? So, ito, kaya nga sinabi niya, hubs and switchers are used to create a network. Kasi, tama naman, dahil dito sa device na to is nagkakaroon tayo ng network. Kasi, yung 2 or more devices is nagkakaroon ng connection. Tama? Kaya nga, di ba, network. So, ito naman daw, si router are used to connect networks. Siya naman yung nagko-connect ng switch to switch. Okay? Network to network. So, yun yung function ng router. Through internet, is syempre, nagkakaroon ng connection yung mga network or mga computers natin. Kaya tayo nakakapagpasa ng file mula sa bahay natin papunta sa another area or another part ng Pilipinas, for example. So, kaya yun yung function ng router. Naintindihan ba, Clavano? Nagigets mo na? Okay. So, yun. So, yun yung difference ni switch tsaka ni routers. So, routers, pakitandaan, specific lang siya sa IP address or sa internet. Okay, so yun lang. The last is, na hindi na-discuss, is the bridge. Okay? Clavano, please read what is bridge.
Bridges is a device that links to homogeneous packet broadcast local networks. It accepts all packets from its network address to devices on the other, buffers them, and retransmits them to the other network.
So, for example, nandito tayo. Ayan, example, ito yung tsura ng bridges. Ayan, meron siyang dalawang port. Then, yung isang port naman is pwedeng for sa router. Okay? So, for example, meron kang dalawang hub or dalawang switch. Yung isang network para sa hub 1 at isang network sa hub 2. So, for connection purposes, is pwede mo siyang gamitan ng bridge. Okay? Pero ngayon, pwede mo rin namang gamitin, kung may mga network ka, is pwede rin naman switch ang gamitin natin. Kasi yun yung ginamit ko sa ICT room. Sobrang, itong switch kasi na to, for example, this one. Ang switch na to, ilan lang? 2, 4, 6, 8, 20, 16, hanggang 24. Okay? 24 na computers lang. Eh, merong more than 24 computers sa ICT room. So, ang ginamit ko is dalawang maliit pa na switch. Okay? Yung mga 8 ports lang na switch. So, yun na yung nag-act as bridge nila. So, yun. So, yun yung discussion natin sa network hardware and network media. Lang. So, stop lang ako ng record.